Okay, let's formally begin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is this the energy I get on the Friday evening? Of course not. Can I hear a louder good evening, ladies and gentlemen? It can get much louder. Come on, one more time. Can I hear a loud good evening, ladies and gentlemen? Beautiful. I am your host, Priyanka, and I will be taking you forward with this beautiful event. On behalf of Shine.com and Hindustan Times, I welcome you to the Bengaluru edition of Hindustan Times Shine HR Conclave. It is my privilege to welcome you here today, and I acknowledge you all for taking time out and being a part of this evening. The topic for today's discussion is Decoding Talent Acquisition Strategy for Millennials. The modern workplace belongs to millennials. The generation is expected to comprise majority of the workforce by 2020. In reaction to the dramatic changes the millennial culture is bringing to the workplace and the coincidence of business disruptions that are driving the need for more innovative employees, CHROs need to change their existing approaches to talent acquisition and retention based on the new strategy's reality. The 47th Hindustan Times HR Conclave Bengaluru edition will pose the following questions to the HR leaders. Are companies focusing on employer branding to stand out as an employer of choice of millennials? Are efforts being made to communicate and track career progression and development of the millennials? Is there a need to promote a work-life balance and flexible schedules to lure millennials? Are companies lagging behind in adopting technology and automation to ensure the quality of hire? Are employers adapting their talent acquisition strategies to win the war for talent among millennials? To discuss and debate on all these questions, we have amongst us some leading industry veterans. I would first like to introduce our first panelist, who is Ms. Sanjukta Sarkar, Head HR, Madura Fashions and Lifestyle. Ms. Sarkar has 18 years of experience in the HR industry and has, in her career, held various positions in General Electrics, Goldman Sachs, Accenture, and SAP. Her role spans across 22,000 plus workers in 9 factories, 2,000 stores, and corporate and regional offices. Ms. Sarkar is a recipient of 100 Most Influential, globally awarded by the Times Group and World HRD Congress in Feb 2016. Welcome, ma'am. As she joins us on stage, can we please have a round of applause for Ms. Sarkar? Our next speaker for the conclave is Mr. Nagarajan V., Senior Vice President, Human Resource, AXA. Mr. Nagarajan has 19 plus years of management and leadership experience in the human resource domain across multiple industries. In the last 10 years, Nagarajan has worked on defining and shaping an appropriate people culture framework that is aligned to the organization's domain and growth potential. Mr. Nagarajan has done his engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and is also a postgraduate in human resource from XLRI, Jamshedpur. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Nagarajan V. Moving on to our next panelist, Mr. R. Raj Narayan, Senior Vice President and Chief Human Resource Officer, Titan Company Limited. Mr. Raj Narayan is an HR professional with over 30 years of human resource head and member of management team in different organization experience. He was previously working as an HR Director India at Metro Cash and Carry. Mr. Raj has also held various positions like the Head of Learning and Development, Head of Talent Management, Management Training, and Leadership Development in organizations like SHV Gas India, TNT India, and Country HR Manager in Mother Care India. Can I please request you join your hands as we welcome Mr. Raj Narayan on stage. Moving on to our next panelist, Mr. Raghavendra K., Senior Vice President and Global Head of Human Resource Development, Infosys BPO Limited. Mr. Raghavendra has over 32 years of experience in the field of human resources. He is a member of Executive Council of Infosys BPO Limited. His expertise lies in aligning HR's function role to dovetail business plans. His areas of interest are development of HR competencies, managing cultural diversity, and change management, especially in the context of mergers and acquisitions. He is a regular contributor to many leading journals and publications. A PG Diploma Honours holder from the Madras School of Social Work, he has also undergone the Advanced Management Program from IIM Bangalore. I request you to join us on stage, sir, and can I request the whole of the audience to please cloud a round of applause. And now, the moderator for the panel discussion, Dr. M.S. Balaji, Vice President and Head HR Professional Access. He is an HR practitioner with around 21 years of experience in strategic HR and complete end-to-end experience in people, process programs, policy, performance, transformation, and change management. He is a certified Six Sigma Black Belt and change acceleration process leader. He is also an NLP trainer, NLP master practitioner, and is an acclaimed motivational speaker. A doctorate degree holder in social science. He also holds PCC level certified coach by International Coach Confederation, ICF. He is an executive and life coach who has more than 1,500 hours of coaching experience. Can I please request all of you to join your hands the loudest as he joins us on stage. And a louder round of applause for all our panel members along with the moderator. To keep this session interactive, we will have the Q&A session during and after the panel discussion. Please raise your hand as in case you have any questions. Our Shine.com representative will come and note it down from you. Dr. Balaji, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible? I did. I'm okay now? Yeah. Hey, thanks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the panel for me is complete because of their various experiences and the various scenarios they have gone through. We had a brief introduction about our work, what we are doing, and this perfectly fits in with our 4 questions and many more to ask. The pattern of this question and answer or the speaker speaking would be that each question would be taken by 2 distinguished panel members. For 5 to 6 minutes, they speak for each question. And to have a better engagement with the audience, we request we can take 2 questions from you when the question and answers, when the question for first one gets completed by the panel member. We also have a dedicated time for our Q&A session for 15 minutes, and then we'll wrap up with some of the findings what we have. Okay? So I was doing some homework, and some of the pointers I want to give you before we start the actual question from the panel members. And some of the pointers by PwC and HR Association, their recent papers actually talked about this. This 90.3% of millennials said that they have a different values and motivations. Only 10% said they are from the same, they also align with the same generation or a different generation. So that's another one pointer. 64% of them said that their age group tends to leave faster the organization than others, so that's an alarming number, 64%. 20% of them wants promotions if it would negatively impact their personal lives. Otherwise, they expect that every year they want a promotion. 28% of the millennials believe that the work-life balance in the present company is worse than what they thought before joining. 77% of them felt the company's ability to provide leadership development was weak. 70% of them expect the advance in their career within 18 months of taking their existing job. This is by PwC and HR Association survey. Now 60% of them surprisingly said that they are happy with their career development. And the last two are most alarming for me. Then 60% of the companies said that they don't have an official mentoring program to manage this group. And what more important was that 90% of the worldwide, this is the worldwide one, 90% of the companies said that their workforce, they don't have anything very special from the rest of the people in the organization. Now, if this data is something to be pondered upon, one important thing, I think, by Alstom, Mitchell, he said that there is a set of workers that want to share their creativity, ideas, and knowledge with others, as well as to learn from those around them. So the knowledge has to flow seamlessly across boundaries. A lot of expectations from this group. And I think one important thing from this group is, from the psychology point of view, these people have experienced a couple of things. One, they are born approximately between 1980 to 1995, and they call Generation Y. They have seen various attacks outside. 9/11 is one of them, and some of them, they have their own opinion. They are deeply rooted to community service. They are, they can think very diversely. The confidentiality is not the word they have in their mind. And social is everything for them. And more importantly, Google and Facebook is more important than any one of them in their world. Now, having this data with you, I'm Balaji, and I think importantly is to pose some of the questions to our panel members. The first two I've chosen is the first question goes to Raghavendra. He spends around 5 to 7 minutes on this question, and then I'll go to Raj, okay? So Raghavendra, I think it's important for us to see from our experience, and also more importantly to also say that who are these people? What type of difficulties you had in managing these people? And more importantly, the first question was Shine has talked about is that it was already announced. Are these companies focusing on employer branding to stand out as employer of choice for these millennials?
Thanks, Raj. Am I audible? Okay, great topic on a Friday evening. But how many of you all are born after 1977? Can I see a show of hands, please? Okay, it's about 50% or so of the audience. Good, so how do you feel when data is thrown at you on a Friday evening, all of us very young in the panel, and hearing us speak?
And also, Raghavendra, she said that we are veterans.
I know, I take objection to that. It's the experience that counts. Age is just a number, is how I would look at it. But ultimately, even before I get into the concept or the theory, I think what strikes me in terms of a brand is my very recent experience. Recently, I'd gone with my family on a holiday. And as I was waiting in the lounge in the airport, I saw a commercial going on in terms of the challenges one very big multinational faced and how this company actually went about looking at solutions. It showcased its campus, it spoke about what's happening in the organization, And my son, who was with me, who's just about 18 years, and he was impressed by what was happening in that. And instead of looking at the solution, he was looking at what went behind in the organization. A lot of questions arose. And when I landed at my holiday destination, it's in India, of course, there's a huge billboard outside the airport which spoke of being the #1 employer in the latest ranking in a leading survey. I think, therefore, in my view, it's the visual brand, the visual impact, which creates the first impression for people, especially who are not exposed to the corporate world. So ultimately, I think in the changing landscape, what is it we are doing to enhance or build on the brand counts. Post that holiday, I came back to work, and it was the same old thing in terms of vacancies, in terms of critical positions not being filled, and I was wondering, where is it, or what is it that's adding to my gray hair, was the question that kept again and again at the back of my mind. And I was pleasantly surprised that one very important position was actually filled without too much of an effort. And when I asked my recruitment head and asked her what was the holy grail in terms of making it happen, she said, it's just that we spread the word with all the management trainees, and they went social, and they spoke about the organization, and that position got filled. So ultimately today, when we talk of the millennials, we need to look at what is it we are doing differently to attract, to keep their interest, and make it happen. Because when I started my career, not very long ago, just about 32 years ago, for us to actually go about looking for that mythical candidate was a challenge in terms of going whole hog in the newspapers, in terms of brand, paying very expensive consultants to go out and search, to this critical position being filled by the time I came back from a holiday. So if I do a flashback to where we are, I believe we're in a less complicated world. I'm sure many of us may have a different point of view, but today, while people say the world's more complex, I think the world's more simple, is how I would look at it, and that's ultimately what will catch the imagination of the millennials. Keeping it simple, stupid is what I would look at it. The KISS formula will work brilliantly if we keep it simple. But the context of the employer brand, in my view, I'm sure there could be different points of view, started off way sometime during 1990 when Simon Barrow and Tim Ambler, in their work called The Employer Brand, said that an employer brand is actually a package of functional, economical, and psychological benefits that are provided at the time and during employment. And in 2008, in a conference in UK of the Chartered Institute of Personal Directors, Jackie Orm is again a great personal person. She said that when I started out in the profession, nobody talked about employer branding. She said, now it's integral to the business strategy itself, and it resonates very well with business strategy. So ultimately, to create that interest, create that attention, and making people to look at what it means, it's beyond the realm of HR. So how or what is it we are doing differently is what counts. Including in global markets, developed markets, or like a developing economy in India, I think we see there are 5 generations of workers in the organization. One is the traditionalists, who was born between 1925 to 1945. Then you have the baby boomers between 46 and 64, Gen X between 65 to 76, the millennials between 77 to 95, and we also have Gen Z, who's born thereafter, post-1996. So ultimately, what counts is, in an organization, do we look at what we were good at? Do we imbibe what needs to be done? And look at the cultural context in terms of what we are doing. As Dr. Balaji said, There are different cultures happening in the same organization. People have different goals, different interests. It's life experiences with work experience that's always struggling for space. And therefore, is the new way of looking at things, is it an opportunity or a threat, is what we as ACHROs need to focus a lot more. And while at the top, most of us are enclosed in glass cabins, it's many of the people in the middle who actually get caught. Many a time I notice that since the middle management is actually visible to people, whether it's leadership who doesn't want to directly hit out at the CHRO, or the young employees who has no reach to the top man in the cabin, it's the middle managers who then need to look at in terms of what is it they will do to enhance experience of people, which will then go out in terms of how a brand needs to be built. Because today's millennial, as all of us know, is a job hunter. He always, or she always looks at the next best opportunity. That's the popular belief. Always online, on social media, 24/7. The work, the extended part of the body is the mobile, and is a researcher to the core. For example, recently, I was undertaking an interview, and the interviewee or the youngster knew more about me, what I said, when and where, than I knew myself. So the challenge there is in terms of if today's generation is doing so much research, is 24/7 on social, is looking at the next best opportunity, then as HR professionals, are we doing anything different? Are we doing enough in terms of building the brand? I think that is important. For example, I know I'm hogging on to the time. Just give me another couple of minutes.
30 seconds.
If I want to know, looking for jobs, I need to go to Naukri. If I want to know what's happening inside the organization, there's Glassdoor. If I want to take a virtual tour of the campus, there's YouTube. If I need to look at wow moments, there's the Twitter and the Facebook. And if I want to put pictures of interest, there's Pinterest. So I believe, as HR professionals, are we doing enough in terms of leveraging things like this, which will make a huge difference? There's so much more to share, so much more to talk, but I respect the sentiment of the panelists, other panelists. So,
Raghavendra,
Balaji, you can take on from here.
Thank you so much. And I think one of the other recent article also said that 52% of the workforce by 2020 would be millennials. So that means it's important for us also to look at this point. Raghavendra made a very, very important point. They said that keep it simple, bring the context, talk about the strategy to those people or get involved with that, and also make the middle managers involved in the in their career or growth. And I think that's an employer branding. We move to Raj. Raj, I think your company Titan by itself is a brand, and talking about are employers doing something for building the brand for in the minds of the millennials? So would you like to extend that question and then get your views, please, to the audience?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think if I look at the whole concept of branding, I'd look at it from two perspectives. One, from a perspective of attracting talent. Excuse me. From a perspective of attracting talent. The other is retaining talent. Okay. One element which has changed over the last, if I look at the last 4 or 5 years, the way most organizations have shifted gears, right, is they've moved away from only sharing information. Information today is so democratized, you can get it wherever. Earlier, when companies went to campuses, their pre-placement talks, they still happen, I'm not saying no, but a lot of the pre-placement talks, whether it's in management schools or engineering colleges or design schools or wherever, focused on sharing information about the organization, right? The shift that's happened is, if you look at a lot of the recruitment that happens from campuses, including from premium management schools, the percentage of PPOs that are given after summer has gone up over a period of time. If I take our own example, out of this current batch which has joined us, or joining us actually on Tuesday, from premium management schools, we've got a batch of 24 people. 90% did their summer with us. Okay. Now, the shift, therefore, is not about sharing information, but sharing experience. The importance, one very, very important statistic that you talked about, Dr. Balaji, the first one, that 90% of millennials felt that there was no value match. I think organizations are working towards addressing that bit by giving people the opportunity to experience working in an organization, either as a summer intern or working on projects, or there are multiple organizations, including ours, which have contests